Before you make any smart remarks, maybe I better explain something to you.
Welcome everybody to the Red G Fox channel. Here we talk everything Sanford and Son, so thank you very much for tuning in, because today we have one of the best episodes ever, a top 20 for sure, and that is Lamont Goes African. Oh, this has some of the best. We get to meet Olayia. It's probably the water. We get to see Rollo, and a cool fun fact about Rollo in this one as well. Be sure to go check our community page. We get quizzes all the time. Some tough, some easy, all fun. We also got our best one and done characters. We're coming to the end of that tournament. Even watch some of the past few videos where we break them down to help you decide who is the best. Right now we got Big Money Grip winning this round. We got a few more days, Tuesday. Actually, that's it tonight. When you're watching this episode, this is it. This is your last chance. So go and check it out and vote. So here we go. Let's get to the fun facts on Lamont Goes African. We're going to start with only one fun fact today. And that is in this one, Rollo, we see him for a little bit, and he wears the thing where he's Oyamo, and he wears a dashiki as well, kind of like Lamont. Now, if you are a big fan of Good Times, you might recognize this, because this is worn, and the same one by Michael Evans on Good Times in the episode called Two Old Blues. So that's the exact same one he wears. Just something, if you are a big fan, you might go, hey, you know, I've seen that before. And if you didn't know, now you know. Learn something new every day on this channel. All right. Let's get to familiar faces, and that is Paula Kelly, who plays Olayia, the beautiful woman that Fred really likes and has the sweetest heart and actually sets Lamont straight on that. Let's get to some of the things she has done as well in her career. She has been an actress, she was a professional singer, a dancer, and a choreographer. So she's done a lot in the entertainment business, and she's been in over 50 movies and shows. Let's try to cover a few you might be familiar with, and plus a very interesting movie she did. Before that, she passed away just recently, 2020, at the age of 77. So long, nice life, and the fact that she was still here with us just so long ago, which is really cool. I love that. She starred with Roscoe Lee Brown, and for anyone who's a Sanford and Son fan, Roscoe Lee Brown was Be of Good Cheer, Osgood is here, I always want to call him Cut. Osgood Wilcox. They started a movie together called Uptown Saturday Night. I have not seen that, but if you are a fan of either of these actors, go check it out, and it probably is pretty interesting to see them together in that, because Roscoe Lee Brown's amazing. Paula Kelly, great, beautiful voice. So let's get to the next one she did. She was also in another movie called The Andromeda Strain, Soylent Green. She was in the TV show Night Court multiple times. In 12 different episodes, she played a prosecutor in that. You might see that. That might be something you're familiar with seeing her from. South Central, another good TV show. Santa Barbara. In Santa Barbara, she was in 24 episodes, so big part in that. And then another show that we seen a theme throughout our channel. We always find someone who seems to be in Policewoman. She was in 3 different episodes in Policewoman. So that is it on our beautiful Paula Kelly in this episode as she plays Olayia. So let's just get to the breakdown. In this one, we open up with Bubba and Fred watching TV. And it's horrible. And Fred's trying different glasses, and Fred tells Bubba, he's like, it ain't the glasses, it's the TV. The reception's horrible, and we need cable TV. And Bubba's like, well, why doesn't he get it for you? And he's,
but clear that picture up.
Well, why won't he get it for you?
Because he's a cheap son of a hello, Lamont.
because he's a cheap son of a hello, Lamont. We get that frequently in Sanford and Son, where Fred's about to say something very unkind, and he always catches himself right as Lamont walks in, or a different person walks in. So Lamont's like, nah, you ain't getting no cable TV, so you can sit over here and watch those Frankenstein movies with your friends.
Now, I'm going to turn over a new leaf, and so are you.
What does that mean?
It means we're going to get some Ujima in this house starting today.
Lamont's not having it. He's like, no. He said, we're going to get some Ujima up in this house. And I love Fred. He's like, Ujima? And he's like, do you know Ujima, Bubba? Bubba's like, no, but I know Big Gina from the stripper club. And they busted up, and he's like, no, Ujima is an Aruba word meaning hard work and discipline. And he's got this whole new thing, and Fred doesn't get it. You know, it kind of did take him by surprise. And so he's like, what? Look.
Do you get cable TV and I Ujima all over this place?
He said, you give me cable TV and I'll Ujima all over this house. And he's like, no, I got work to do. Odabo. And he's like, what? And remember they ask him, is it like Pig Latin? You know, because he's like, no, it's a Reuben word. And he starts telling him about the different languages. And he goes, it does kind of sound like Pig Latin. It doesn't, Bubba. And he's like, man, you two guys don't know anything. It's nothing like Pig Latin, which we know it does, which is funny. It's a great example of how youth Sometimes they geared something, they're excited about something, they don't know all the facts, but they're so into it, and they can't wait to show off their knowledge. And you see that here with Lamont. He's like, it's nothing like Pig Latin. Talking to you guys, man, you guys wouldn't learn anything till the end of the world. And in reality, it is, which we find out from Olayia later, that it's just like Pig Latin, multiple languages. So we'll cover that at that point. So he leaves, and Fred's like, okay, you know what, I got to get to work, and he's not getting cable TV, and the TV is crap. Bubba takes off. So the next time we see Fred, he's cooking, right? He's in there, and he's singing, and he's cooking sausages, and he hears the door, and he goes out there, and he's looking, he's like, I know I heard the door. And then he sees he's all, the truck's here, and he's all, Lamont, Lamont. And then he finally responds. We see a similar scene like this when Grady takes over for Fred, where one time when he comes down and he's in the karate outfit, this is the same thing, and then Lamont comes down.
Yes. This is a dashiki. A dashiki is a traditional African shirt for men.
To me, it looked like a traditional dress for a woman.
Well, that's because
And he's in the dashiki. And he's all, what is that? And he's all, I knew you were going to have some comment about it, because he says, my son bought a blouse. He calls it a blouse. He's all, this is an African dashiki. And he's like, finds out he paid 15 bucks for it. He's like, you paid 15 bucks for a cotton blouse? So Fred's not getting it, you know, and 15 bucks is a lot. That's equivalent to like paying 80 to 90 bucks nowadays for something Fred's thinking is just a shirt, you know, and you don't need to, he's wasteful. And Lamont, like I said, he's excited, he's pumped for this new thing that he's coming about, his African roots. He's finding out where he's coming from, and he wants to trace it back and live that way. So he's trying to explain to, hey, you know, this is nothing, you don't know anything about it. And Lamont always has this attitude where he gets something, he gets a little bit of knowledge, and he always looks down at Fred because Fred doesn't know anything about it, because Fred doesn't really care. And he's like, it's what we called ourselves before. And remember, he calls him Lamont. He's all, don't call me that by my slave name. He's like, slave name? He's all, don't call me, I'm not going to answer that.
Your name is Lamont Sanford. You were named after Lamont Lomax. He pitched 46 scoreless, no hit, no run innings in 1932.
He said, your name's Lamont Sanford. It's always been Lamont Sanford. You were named after the pitcher, Lamont Lomax, who pitched for the Homestead Braves. And he had 46 no runs, no score innings, you know. And so it sounds like an amazing pitcher. But so he was named after that. Lamont's like, no. And he has to explain to him that he wants to take on the new African name. You know, it shows from the people we come.
do you know any white people with names like Lumumba, or Kasavubu, or T'Chaka?
I don't even know what black people named.
I love Fred's response. He's like, I don't even know any black people with those names. So Fred's like, no, you know, I get it. I get your name. And then he's all, what's your new original African name? And he tells him, he's all,
Hey, man, don't you say it right? Come on, Kalunda.
Kalunda.
Now, that's it.
Kalunda. Listen, I just need more practice. I'd like you to meet my son, Kalunda.
one that reflects me, Kalunda. And then Fred's like, Kalunda. And then it takes him so much, he goes from calling him Belinda, like a cigarette. He calls him Calendar. He calls him my favorite, Columbo. He can't get the name right. But it's funny how he sits there and he even points out, he's like, and one thing I've always thought was weird when he's like, if you think I'm changing the sign to Sanford and Son to Sanford and Kalunda, you're crazy. You wouldn't have to, right? It's not called Sanford and Lamont. That's one little error, but it does sound funny that he's like, in other words, I'm not changing the name. And then that's when Lamont is trying to tell him, like, hey, you know what? We need to go back to our roots and our names. And he's like, Fred's like, all my friends got normal names like Bubba and Leroy and Skillet. And those all sound like side, nicknames and stuff. So I don't even consider those normal names. Not nowadays. I've never met anyone named Skillet. Leroy, yes. And I've only met one Bubba ever. So comment below if you have any friends named Leroy, Skillet, or Bubba. If you're fortunate enough to have anyone, and are they just like the original counterparts? So then he starts telling him, no, we're going to do no more, we're putting a crash diet, no more pork. And it is a fact. He's like, it's not good for the body, man. That clogs your, bad cholesterol clogs your heart. You can call it heart disease, heart attacks, all these things. So Lamont is actually factual on that.
No more pork chops.
Bacon either. Ham, spare ribs, pork roast, pig's feet, pig ears, neck bones. None of that stuff. Strychnine, fatback, salt pork, lard.
No more chitlins.
But it's such an immediate, and then Fred's like, what? No chickalines, no fatback, no pork, nothing, no lard, chitlins. He's not getting anything, and I feel so bad for Fred, because he's like, man, it's everything at once. He's like, why you put me on this crash diet and changing your name and doing all this stuff? And he's like, well, change is supposed to come apart quickly, Dad. And He's like, I'd rather be, if you give me electricity, I'd rather be shocked a little at a time than one big jolt of electricity. And it's true, right? You know, it's like, I don't want a slow death. I want, just get it over with. No, he'd rather have a little bit. It's Lamont who's saying, just get it over with. So then he's like, we're going to go to the store. We're having a party tonight. I'm going to have some friends over. And then he takes off and Fred goes back in and he's eating the pork. And he's like, what are you doing, Pop? And he's like, I'm getting rid of the pork. So he comes back. Fred has to go shopping and he's telling Bubba when he comes back, he's like, yeah, you know, he's got all these new names, all these new things going.
Hey, Lamont, what is going on here? You going trick-or-treating? What is this?
It's so good the way Fred says that. And Lamont's like, of course not. I want stuff to reflect my home. He's like, if you want that, give me Billy Eckstein and what's the other one he says? He gets a couple people that reflect Fred's culture, not African culture. And Lamont's like, no, and you got to respect it. Lamont's got to get some of it. It is his house too. So, and then he tells him to change. And Fred's like, change? He's all, in Africa, you would not greet people like that, you know? And he's all, well, I'm not in Africa. I'm in South Central. So this is it. I love Fred in this episode. I love just the honesty. That's one thing I think a lot of us as fans love. It's just the honesty of Fred Sanford. That he doesn't have to be politically correct. Even more so now, how much we want to cling to that. Where it's like, everything doesn't have to be, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. Even if it doesn't reflect how I feel or I want to be, I'll do it for one person. We'll sacrifice 50 people, you know, their thoughts. Whatever it is. It's just, Fred just says, no, man, this is it. You know, this is South Central. This is what you're getting. I'm Fred. I'm 65. I'm not getting all stressed up. And then they come and Lamont's like, oh, it's too late anyways. And they go out there. And then she comes in and that's when he says the best line.
I'd like to introduce to you my father, Mr. Fred Sanford.
How do you do, Mr. Sanford? I am Olayia.
Well, it's probably the water.
There's just something about the way he says it. And I love Olayia, the way she looks. She's kind of smiling like, wait, what? Like, she doesn't get it either. And then Rollo's in. And oh my gosh. He says, oh, and I love how Fred's candid, right? He's being respectful still. And he's like, oh, you're a beautiful lady, you know, and I wish I met you before I had my hole in the natural. And she's so sweet. She's like, oh, Mr. Sanford, I love you just the way you are. So she's always kind and she's very respectful, which Lamont should have, we've talked about that in the past in other episodes. Lamont should have been more respectful. We understand he's grouchy from his upbringing and what his dad has put him through, but at the same time, as he took care of you in your younger years, you're supposed to make his winter years thrive. And he's like, this fool made my winter years one long blizzard. So that comes up in a bit, but they sit down, and it's funny. At first, Lamont wouldn't let Fred go. Remember? He goes and he's like, as soon as he sits down, he's like, well, bye. And he's about to take off, and he's like, will you sit down? But then the more they talk and the more he's embarrassed, he's like, why don't you go to bed, right? And now Fred's not. Fred's enjoying it, the conversation. They go in there, they get some of the snacks, and you hear Lamont going crazy. And Rollo's like, she's like, is he always like this? He's like, every time I come. Rollo probably liked her. And so he's like, oh, let me make Lamont look bad so maybe me and her could take off together. You know, there's always something in the back of his mind. Because he could have covered and said, oh, no, he's usually a good guy. But he's like, nope, every time I come. So then they come back out and they put on the nicest face and they're kind and they're serving the food and Fred is having a great time with her. You know, he's really enjoying it. And I don't think he's ever disrespectful. And he's just like saying, you know, if I had, you know, slick my hair down, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. And he says like Cab Calloway. And Lamont's like, here you are, we're discussing a thing on Africa and you're talking about having your hair like white people. And I love Fred. He's like, I wouldn't talk about no white people. Cab Calloway, he ain't white. So Fred sets him straight. And he's like, why don't you go to bed? He's like, because I ain't sleepy. And he's like, well, why don't you just sit there and be quiet? Maybe you'll learn something. And you can see Olayia. It's such a great scene where it's back and forth, and you can see it's like a pressure building. And finally, Olayia's like, let's go. We should go. And he's like, you don't have to leave on account of my father. And she's like, it is you who is we're leaving for. You are so disrespectful. If you were in my country, you would be beaten.
No, it is inexcusable. In my country, such behavior is unheard of. You would be beaten.
I wish I had you in Nigeria. I'd knock you out.
And then Fred's like, if I had you in Nigeria, I'd knock you out. Fred, honestly, that's what makes the episode to me. It's fun to see Lamont really get into it and then kind of get talked down to by Olayia, who actually is very knowledgeable and knows the culture. As she shared when they were talking, he's like, remember she says something and he's like, oh, c'est bon. He even speaks French. And then he talks about the Pig Latin. And she's like, what is this Pig Latin? And he's like, oh, it's just a silly language where, you know, it's like a way you make up code where you could talk about people and they don't know. And she's like, oh, that's like the Swahili, where it's many African languages put together so we could talk and communicate with the other African nations and the different cultures and all talk. So it is similar. It has that. And remember, Lamont's like, it's nothing like that. He was putting him down. So she sets it straight. And that's when Fred's like, you know what, man, this is great. He even gets behind the African culture. He likes it. He starts getting into it, especially when she says, Fred's like, I'd had you in Nigeria, because he knows Lamont would get his butt whooped and he doesn't like the way he's been raised. So she's done. And now you can see Lamont. He's just like, you know what, man? His face says it all, as we see right here. His face is like, nah, I don't want to be part of this. Because why? Because he has to actually be respectful. He has to actually put work into it. And I love, before she leaves, she said, putting on dashikis and decorations doesn't make you African. It's what's in the heart, you know? And it's a great bit of acting, for one. For a comedy show, a sitcom, it's a great bit of acting by, Paula Kelly. Man, she does outstanding, where she's kind, sweet, and very serious. And it is very believable when she does that scene. And sets Lamont straight. Then she leaves, and then Rollo's, I love when Fred and Rollo are talking. He's like, man, if I was 30 years younger, you know, he said, I'd give you a run for your money. Man, I think he said 15. And then he's all, Odabo, Jack. I love Rollo when he says Jack. And then he's all, Diablo! Takes off. So then he goes to Lamont, and he's like, you know what? He said, I like this. Kalunda? He said, you hear me, Kalunda? I really like this. He said, I can get behind this. And then Lamont's like, he's like, hey, I even got your name right? So he's excited. Now you see the excitement, but with Fred it was good because he was learning, while Lamont learned a little bit and kind of had a cockiness to him. Fred's kind of like, hey, this is cool. It's like, we've all been part of something where it's new and it's exciting. And you can see Fred really kind of turning into it. Hey, I like this whole African thing. And then Lamont's like, hey, man, you can call me what you always call me. And I love the way he says it. And then if you see Fred, we'll have it here. But the way Fred gets that side grin, he's like, because he knows what he's about to say, and he's trying to laugh. He's all, oh, that'll be easy, dummy.
Hey, man, you can call me what you always call me.
Oh, then that'll be easy, dummy.
I'm sorry. That always kills me. Just talking about it always kills me. Because the way he says it, he nails them on that. He's all, oh, okay. Oh, that's easy, dummy. So it ends like that, where, man, it's just, that's one of the funniest endings for me, and it's so simple. And then we get to the next scene, Lamont coming in, and Fred's got the dashiki on. He's like, what? It's nice. He all feels comfortable. And he's like, you know, you better take it serious. He's like, oh, I am taking it serious. As he's doing sausage, he's all, well, what are you doing sausage? He's like, you don't have to be a fanatic. He's so true. He's like, hey, I'm going to take it in. But as Lamont was a fanatic. It was this, but he was missing a lot of the important ingredients to it. Fred's like, hey, I'm going to take it in, but maybe baby steps, and you don't have to be a fanatic. Oh, man, great ending to in my opinion, a top 20 episode. Please comment below if you think it's top 20 as well. Is it something you really love? It is one that I treasure. When I got to do this, like I said, when there's episodes coming up, like I'll look further ahead, I'll be like, oh, I can't wait. I mean, Rated X is right around the corner, and that is a top 10. I cannot wait for that. Oh my gosh, there's so many scenes. I'm gonna have such a hard time holding my laughter back. Anytime we do a top 10, or at least one of my top 10 personally, I have a tough time filming these because I'm stopping or I have to edit it because it's, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of a bunch of scenes right now. But the Rated X is not Rated X. This one, Lamont Goes African, I covered just a bit. There's funny lines I left off because I'm trying to shorten some of our shows, but I still have clips in it. You know, it's just too much. It's too much good stuff, as AMPM always says, to not cover a lot of the parts on this. And this is a favorite episode. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great week. We'll have our next round. We are one round away from the championship coming up tonight at 9 o'clock or so. We will set it in pace. Get your votes in. Cast your last second votes. If you want to see, remember, top 2 make it. Right now it's the card sharps. Can 3 Degrees overcome them, or can JoJo Jackson make a big push? So we got a lot going on our channel. Please, always, if you like anything here, like it and subscribe and continue to be part of us as we grow, and share. Get it out there for the rest of YouTube world, who, you know, any of our Sanford and Son fans, so many that are out there. Have a great week and see you soon. Live show coming up, possibly this Saturday night. We'll find out. Peace.
And this child made my win years one long blizzard.